So hello and welcome to Let's Talk SEO. Most people who watch my channel will probably already know that there has been a Google leak, and Google's warehouse APIs have been leaked by someone on the inside or maybe someone on the outside. Even the leaker has come forward and said that they've leaked this. And there are a lot of there are a lot of people talking about this online on Twitter. I get people sending me messages asking me if I've been through the documents. Someone sent me a link to the documents, and if you look at the documents, I'll put a screenshot here. It's a technical documentation of Google's algorithm, and it's very easy to misunderstand this type of documentation because it's not for a regular person. It's for a Google engineer, and specifically it's for an algorithm engineer and someone who designs and works in algorithms. And so a regular person or a regular SEO just cannot look at this and just make sense of it. So what most people are doing is that they're reading the attributes mainly, and they're trying to make sense of that. Some people are putting this to ChatGPT and trying to figure out what's going on. I am, however, working with a software engineer, someone who understands this kind of documentation. They work for a major search engine, which is not Google and it's not Bing, but it's still a major search engine. And what they're telling me, and based on the work that we're doing together on this documentation, is that a lot of what Google is doing is being done by other search engines, and even the search engine that he's working on. And so those search engines are going to be implementing a lot of the stuff that Google is doing, but they're not doing, which has been revealed in the documentation, but which is very little. So it's going to be very little that they're not doing. But all that aside, this video is more about what I've learned from this documentation so far, and the fact that Google's search liaisons, something that I've always been saying, have been lying to us. And not only have they been lying to us, but they have been a source of misinformation. And so they have deliberately put out bad information to people so that they run rings around, so that they can't really understand how the algorithm works. But anyone who has done extensive testing, anyone who continues to test the theories will find that a lot of this stuff is already known. I did find some new stuff, especially when it comes to local SEO, which I'm testing right now, and I'm seeing some very good results. So in 3 days, I've been able to take a site from a brand new domain, get it out of the Google sandbox, and rank it on the second page of Google for a high traffic term, just using this one thing that I learned from this documentation, which I'm not going to go into in this video, but I want to go into a few things here that I think is going to be of interest to everyone watching this video. I'm going to make a series of videos that kind of dissects this for a regular person so that they can use what we've learned from this documentation to do their own SEO, implement this on their own SEO. So we'll also talk about what this means for your SEO strategy. And I'm not going to put this behind a paywall. This is free information. I want everyone to learn this. So the modules, and this is something that's very important, the module that you're looking at, which is a whole bunch of stuff, is related to components of YouTube, assistance, books, video search, links, web documents, crawl infrastructure, an internal calendar system, and people API. So it's not just one thing. It's not just the algorithm, but it's, I think it's like 14,000. Let me get this correct. So it's 2,596 modules, and it's 14,014 attributes or features of the algorithm. So this is a huge document. Now, I would also add here that this is maybe like just half of the algorithm, and this is not the whole algorithm. And also, a lot of these things have already been depreciated, so they're already outdated and they're not being used. So Google's the similarities. So just like Yandex, Google's system operates a monolithic repository or monorepo, and the machines operate in a shared environment. This means that all the code is stored in one place, and any machine on the network can be a part of the Google's system. Now, this is something that I got wrong, because I thought that this would be a distributed system, and Google will not have everything on one system, and the algorithm will not exist on just a singular system. My assumption was, I'll put the diagram on here of how the system looks, but My assumption was that this would be a distributed system, and there would be multiple computers or servers that would hold parts of the algorithm, and then they would pass information in between each other, which I thought would be efficient when it comes to processing tons and tons of data. But as it turns out, it's just a single system that holds the algorithm. So that is one thing I got wrong. Also, the leak documentation outlines each module of the API that breaks down the summaries, types, functions, and attributes, and most people are just reading the attributes and summaries. And that doesn't really tell you half of what those APIs are doing. So that's a big mistake that a lot of SEOs are making, and you can arrive at some very incomplete conclusions if you're doing that. So the API reveals some Google lies, which I will go into. The first is we don't have anything like domain authority, and I don't want to take names here, but they keep saying this. There's no such thing as domain authority. They keep hammering this on Reddit, on Twitter, and what I said on Reddit, that there is such a thing as domain authority. It's just that Google is called as domain authority, and I have a lot of data to suggest that domain authority is a real thing. I got thrown off Reddit for saying that because, in all honesty, most SEOs just don't want to hear that. The problem is, and domain authority is not just you've got tons and tons of content. It's also the age of the domains. It's also the links that are coming into the domain. So it's not just tons and tons of content like some people who are selling courses want you to believe. And so they would say, oh, we were right, domain authority doesn't exist. We've known about domain authority since 2008 maybe. When I got into doing SEO, I was hearing about domain authority, and I've been doing this for over 16 years. So domain authority is not a new thing. There was not some guy that just came in and coined the word domain authority or coined the word topical mapping. This has been around for 16 years. And so we've been doing this, but it's just that Google's liaisons have been saying that there's no such thing as domain authority. We treat all domains the same, and all domains are equal, when in fact, when you buy a new domain, you try to rank it, you're not gonna get anywhere in the first 6 months, or if the best case scenario is 4 months, so you're not gonna take the domain anywhere. So right off the bat, John Mueller, my friend, you were lying to us. Gary Yao, an analyst on Google search team who focuses on publishing information to help website creators, has repeated this assertion numerous times. And he said, we don't really have overall domain authority. And I put the screenshot over here for you guys to read and giggle at. A text link with anchor text is better though. Again, it's misinformation. It's meant to make webmasters just not be able to figure things out. So, and Gary Yao is not alone. John Mueller, as I said, a search advocate who coordinates Google search relations, declared this in a video. We don't have website authority score, and yes, there is an authority score. In reality, as part of the compressed quality signals, they are stored on a per document basis. Google has a feature they compute called site authority. So yeah, so it's not called domain authority, it's called site authority. Yeah, we didn't know that. But in fact, I remember Bill Slavicsky writing about this and mentioning that this term site authority multiple times, and I read about this first on his website. So if anyone is interested in SEO, his site is still up. The late Bill Slavicsky, go to SEO by the Sea, just read his documentation, just read his blog. This absolute gold. A lot of people that are selling courses right now have stolen from his blog quite literally, and they've repackaged it and repurposed it into courses. But whatever he said, it still stands. So here's the code that actually the site authority code says: type integer, default nil, site authority, convert from quality, site authority applied, and QS star. So yeah, so here's the code. I have no idea exactly what this code means because it's just a snippet, but there is site authority. We do not know specifically how this measure is computed or is used downstream scoring functions, but we know definitely that it exists and that it's being used. I can tell you that there are a few signals that go into domain authority or site authority. I'm not going to discuss this in this video, but I'll make another video about that. We don't use clicks for rankings, and I've been saying this forever. Clicks are a ranking factor. Google is looking at your clicks, but in specific is looking and is measuring clicks that are coming in from Google Search Console, because Google Search Console is tied directly into Google Search and is directly tuned into Google's entire ecosystem. So someone who's using Google Chrome, Google knows a lot more about them and their search activity and what they're clicking on as compared to someone using any other browser. And so if you're using Chrome, if your visitors are using Chrome, that's going to work to your advantage in some cases. So this was also came out during the DOJ antitrust trial. Google kept on saying, not saying, but implying that yes, clicks do matter. So if you're getting more clicks to your site, that will end up resulting in higher rankings. It's just that it's not just clicks, it's also dwell time. So how people are coming to your site and then how long they're spending on your site. And so that's where Google has really turned up the dial on time on site. So the longer people spend on your site, the more Google assumes that your content is useful. And so this is something that we've been using clickjacking in the past, but then it stopped working because people who were using clickjacking didn't really understand that it's also dwell time, and there's a certain amount of time that Google wants visitors to spend on the site before it counts that click as a click. Yeah, and then there is my favorite one. There is no sandbox. And so Google spokesperson had been adamant that there's no sandbox in the websites, and if you launch a site, it will rank right away. There's no need to worry about it. I put a screenshot here. John Mew saying, there is no sandbox. Okay, all right, there's no sandbox. Well, as it turns out, in the per.data module, the documentation indicates an attribute called host age that is used specifically to sandbox fresh spam in serving time. So turns out that there is a sandbox after all. Who knew? We don't use anything from Chrome for rankings. Well, Matt Cutts has previously been quoted as saying that Google does not use Chrome data as part of organic search. I didn't mention they do use it. So most recently, John Mueller reinforced this idea. But we have the code. I'll put the code here up for you guys to see. One of the modules related to page quality score features a site level measure of views from Chrome. Another module that seems to be related to generation of site links has a Chrome related attribute as well. So not only that, but look at this. Spikes and colorations on content creation, location, S2, entity, salient terms. So not only that, but it's n-grams, terms, salient. I put the screenshot here, guys, for you to see. Chrome visits, not restricted to Twitter contracts. So a lot of stuff. So Google spokespersons are well-meaning, and you should, you should trust them, but I wouldn't trust them, and I've never trusted them. Always test if you're serious about doing SEO. Test. My next few videos are going to be dissecting some of these modules, talking about how exactly this should tie into your search strategy and how you should be using this to your advantage. There's some stuff I can't discuss, mainly because it's very up in the air. It requires testing because it's not entirely clear. But the stuff that's really clear, I'll go in and I'll talk about this in subsequent videos. Make sure to like and subscribe, guys, as always. Please leave a comment below, share the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.